This is the part that I'm a little bit concerned about and kind of gives me pause. Described as not exactly the same as Reeves' Batman, but yet not campy. And I want to go over here to this tweet. Won't be a funny, campy Batman. Thinks Wonder Woman has been easier to adapt because every single Batman story has been told across media. Still called The Brave and the Bold.
I don't think that's true. I think that's definitely untrue that every single Batman story has been told. There's many popular versions of the character. I'd argue not that many have been adapted. I feel like a lot of them have been very similar, like the same kind of...
All of the Batman stories with Robin almost, and none of them have been told with live action because Warner Brothers has been allergic to Robin in movies for a quarter of a century.
But what? Go ahead, Darren. Finish your thought.
I do think this might be another situation of like his definition of campy, right? Because I wonder if when he thinks of campy, if he is thinking like 80s, like Batman and Robin, like, oh, I don't know what to do, right? You know, like I'm wondering if that's what he's thinking. Like maybe he doesn't consider like the animated series as campy. Like maybe that's not his definition of campy.
I called
who made the Suicide Squad though, so
my version of campy is Adam West.
Yeah, I mean that is essentially the 100% most campy Batman that you have is the Adam West. I don't want that, but let me be clear here. I wanted something closer to like a live action version of the 90s Batman cartoon.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. But the problem here is I don't think that's the direction they're going with this Batman. Now, this makes me think, because he said it's not exactly like Robert Pattinson's Batman, which tells me that they're going closer in that direction than they are in the other direction, because he's trying to say, when we bring this Batman out, he's not going to be exactly like that one. And then people are going to question, like, why didn't you just put that one in the DCU then? If this is the direction you're going to go with the character. I want one that isn't like the fucking Nolan Batman, that isn't like the Pattinson Batman. I want something that calls back to like the 80s and the 90s Batman, especially the animated series, because we haven't had something like that in live action. The closest thing we had to that, and they dropped the fucking ball on it, was the Ben Affleck Batman.
Yeah.
They had an opportunity to do that with him, and they fucked that up.
Yep.
So I want that. Like, I think we've got a market of like Batman everywhere, and I get it. He's the second most popular character in the world next to Spider-Man. I get it. He's popular. He makes a lot of money. That's great. But because of that, you have an opportunity to take a risk with this character because people love him so much they're willing to give you more rope with him, essentially. There's more you can do with this character without so much pushback because he's loved by everybody. And there's been many different iterations. Earlier when we answered the question about like which one we prefer, like who's our favorite Batman, we all gave multiple different answers and all of them are very different from each other. So yeah, Salty says Bruce Timm Batman. Yes, that's what I want. That is the Batman that I want. Just give me that in live action and I will fucking love it. Yeah. And I think a lot of people would love it. Why are they so adamantly against this? I don't understand.
Is that carried the animation circuit for almost a decade.
For 2 decades, DC animation was better than everybody's animation, with the exception of a couple of cartoon series.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Eric, I just sent you a DM on Discord of what I would love the design aspects for DCU Batman to be. Okay. And if they were to go for something like what I just sent you, which you can show if you want, but it would be the easiest way to, like, you can tell just looking at that difference. If they went with that, it would be totally different from Pattinson's Batman, and it's the easiest way to visually contrast the two.
I honestly, I know I've already said this.
Just go with this.
Yeah. I mean, I still think we are. I again, like I said previously, like I think this might be one of those, like, us interpreting what he's saying a bit, like, a little off. And again, this movie doesn't have a script yet, doesn't have a director, or I guess it does have a director, but like we're not working on that.
We think it has a director. Right? We're still like, I mean, we don't know for sure anymore.
We're so far away, and especially he's not even the one directing the movie. Like, things will change. But I think especially like when he names off his like inspirations for this DCU, it is the Justice League show and it's like Young Justice, and those are very just like what we talked about, like Kevin Conroy version of that character. Right. I personally think that's still what he's going for. I think that is what he's going to go for. Even when we look back to like Creature Commandos, that felt very like Batman the Animated Series inspired. His little cameo where he jumps through the roof.
A way, yeah.
Yes.
Reed, calling it Brave and the Bold, if it's not campy, people associate Brave and the Bold with camp because of the Brave and the Bold.
I think, this is my thoughts on this, is the whole Brave and the Bold thing is very similar to Woman of Tomorrow. It's going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
I think Batman's a bit different because there are so many Batmans. Like it's not like Superman and Supergirl where there's less of them. Like I think having a movie called Batman and the Batman at the same time is harder to do. You know what I mean? Like,
but let me tell you why that has me concerned though. We talked about whether or not we're going to get a World's Finest and whether or not they would introduce Batman in the World's Finest, which could possibly be a James Gunn thing. If James Gunn does World's Finest and introduces the DCU Batman in the World's Finest movie, right, with Superman, and he creates that character, that he's setting the tone for whatever the next movie will be, regardless of who the writer is. Mm-hmm. And they could possibly call it Batman once they've already introduced him in World's Finest, because then the confusion isn't as big. They would know who that character is.
I got a thought just crossed my mind that's probably very stupid. We can get rid of it once we're done. Anyway, that this is the same project. Anyway, Brave and the Bold and Dynamic Duo, or like, is there any chance that this movie is the Superman and Batman movie? The first appearance of Batman is that Superman Batman movie?
I would hope not, because they saw what happened when you introduced Batman in a pseudo Superman sequel before.
Yep.
Well, that's it though. That's the memes, right?
Yeah.
Like as soon as if this is the case where it's like, you know, we're going to put out a Batman and Superman movie as our second Superman movie and our first Batman movie, the Snyder fans are going to lose their fucking minds because they're going to just say you're essentially doing the same thing that Snyder did, which, to be fair, at that point he would be doing that. He would be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have to deal with the fact that you're once again introducing Batman in someone else's movie, essentially, and not giving them their own story.
Here's what I'll say though.
And I don't need to see the pearls falling on the ground in the alleyway again.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I gotta be honest, it might be their best choice though. Like, what would be worse? Not getting a Batman movie for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
8, 9 years, 7, 8 years. Or introducing him, but it's someone else's movie. What's worse?
No, I agree. I think to get him out there, we need to do that as quickly as possible, only because of the fact that we don't want to wait around for the Batman. So that part I do agree with. Introducing him in a team-up movie with Superman seems to me like it's just treading the same water. That's my only issue with that. But like make a Teen Titans movie and have him in that film.
Right. Yeah. Which I think we will do.
That makes more sense to me. Like, have him as like a mentor to the Teen Titans in that film as like a background character leading into his own movie or something like that. Yeah. I feel like that's fair.
And if you want to do a Batman-Superman team-up movie where it's, you know, that Public Enemies dynamic, that World's Finest dynamic, whatever the hell you want to call it, like, here's your key for that. Superman movie. Batman movie. Then you have the two meet.
Yeah.
Should be simple.
They're in just such an impossible situation right now, though, like with the Batman Part 2, right? Like, I think it's like they didn't foresee it taking so long, and now that it has, they've realized, oh shit, what do we do? And I think something needs to be done. I think some steps need to be moved forward, and obviously, yes, they're working on it, but it's like, I think you need to decide fast, right?
If they don't get their shit together, Robert Pattinson's not going to be playing a young Batman anymore.
There needs to be some kind of compromise.
I mean, to be fair, he's not now. Like he's going to be almost 6 or 7 years older by the time the movie comes out.